I think I'm supposed to announce something about the applications for Pepperwood, but I'm extremely confused. Sherry, can you help me?
Well, the general admission, I think, is closed,
Okay,
right?
so residential's closed.
Yes, and now it's just the one day
Okay,
on Sunday, which is, I think, 10 o'clock to lunchtime,
okay.
and then Jukai afterwards.
Mhm.
So,
has that
so
opened?
that would be what would,
It has that opened yet?
It's gonna be coming out.
So it's not yet.
yeah, this week,
That would be the other.
Okay.
there'll be an
piece
email
to
coming.
share.
Yeah,
After that, then is there gonna be registration for people who wanna come to Jukai only? Okay,
The
great.
following week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, what I'm gonna talk about tonight, Chris asked me to give a talk about the history of the sanctuary movement. She and I have been involved in the Sonoma Sanctuary Coalition in the, I don't know if we're calling ourselves faith leaders or religious leaders group. Anyway, it's people from different congregations. And we're trying to do things in the community. So in this country, the sanctuary movement started in response to a surge of refugees from Latin America in the 80s. And it kind of branched out from that to people in the movement making organized visits to the US-Mexico border to be a presence and to witness how people trying to immigrate were being treated. And around this time also, some cities like San Francisco and Santa Fe, New Mexico, passed sanctuary ordinances. And I'll be talking a little bit later about what's going on with that here in Sonoma County. So I think the question now is, how is the movement going to evolve, in the face of the Trump administration's threats? There have already been a lot of really unfortunate changes in the sanctuary process, the asylum process, so that people, have a hard time figuring out what they're actually supposed to be doing because they keep changing the rules. So after that initial surge in the 80s, things kind of died down, and there was a reemergence of the sanctuary movement around 2007. Under the Obama administration, there was a lot of pressure from the movement to secure policies to protect younger people who had come here with their families, and that's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, and that program is still going for the people that are in it, but it's not. I don't believe they're taking any more people in it. So what I find interesting is that, see if I can find it, that actually the amount of people coming here undocumented has actually gone down. And actually, at this point, it's a net loss of people. Which I can't find. You'll have to just believe me. People are really afraid now, and there are not a lot of people coming over. There are many, many people, though, who have been here for years, who have jobs and families and homes, and they're not documented, and they're really frightened, and they need a lot of support. And I know that, some practicing Buddhists kind of feel like, well, I practice Buddhism. I don't want to be involved politically. Um, but I think when it comes to something like sanctuary, I mean, if anybody knows about sanctuary, we do, because sanctuary is refuge. You know, it's exactly the same thing. If you look it up in the dictionary, it's like they mean the same thing. Um, and we provide refuge for each other as we relate to each other as members of a sangha. And so for me, it wasn't a difficult leap to get involved. Um, on a personal note, I worked for many years in home health as a physical therapist, and I worked with a lot of Hispanic families and was always very, very touched and impressed by how they took care of their families. Uh, you would never find a Hispanic family that was just trying to put grandma in the old folks' home and get her house. They would all pitch in and do whatever was necessary to take care of their families. And that really impressed me. Also, when my late wife was dying and needed care, I hired a woman who was DACA, and she was wonderful, and she's still a friend today. So I just felt like, things had just gone too far. I couldn't just not do anything anymore. And so that's how I got involved. Um, and I'll be talking more on Thursday. Beth and Ellen and I are going to talk more about the actual things we're doing as part of the movement. I also wanted to share with you some information from a workshop that I went to at Hannah Center that was given by a therapist there about post-traumatic stress for people trying to immigrate. And it was really eye-opening for me. And what she said was that most of the people who have been coming over in the last 10 years or so, not the people who've been here for a long time, but they've all experienced one or all of four things. The first being violence and prosecution, or persecution rather, gang threats, political violence, gender-based violence, torture, or witnessing death. The journey has been quite perilous, and many died during the journey. It could be weeks or months in transit, and they're frequently exploited and assaulted. And then when they finally do get to the border, if they're put in ICE detention, they're separated from their family, their children. Um, they're confined with people they don't know, and they have no control really over where they can be. And this is sometimes for months. Although recently there's been something they're doing in Sonoma County and in San Francisco is they've been trying to arrest people when they go to court appointments or for their ICE check-in. And now they're doing something called a habeas corpus, where if they detain somebody, they're able to get them out like that day or the next day. So that's been really good. And the last thing that most people seeking asylum experience is loss and grief. And, it's a separation from their family, from their culture. And sometimes that sense of loss and grief really stays with them. Sorry about all the paper shuffling. I brought too many papers. And so the way we provide support for people seeking asylum is basically by accompanying them. And we do that in a few different ways. We do court accompaniment, and that's where it's either for an ICE check-in or for an actual court date. We drive people down to San Francisco. Usually there's one person driving and a translator. And we're able to get them in and out of there safely. We don't go in with them when it's an ICE check-in, but if they have a court date, we do go in with them. And I've not been on one of those. I've done a lot of ICE check-ins. Another thing that we do is accompanying people to, they call it biometrics. Part of the asylum process is you have to get fingerprinted and photographed, and that's done here locally. And they actually, there were some people who were detained there. And so we're very, very careful now about accompanying people there. So I think for me, the idea of sanctuary or refuge is just such a big, big part of my spiritual practice. I think it's how we support each other in Sangha. And we're accompanying each other in our lives. Things come up and we support each other. And so the leap to do that for someone trying to immigrate to this country was not a big leap for me. Let's see. Talked about what's happening in Sonoma County. We've been trying to get an ordinance passed. Seems like forever. We've made some progress. So here in Sonoma County, we're trying to focus on protecting immigrant rights and resisting federal immigration enforcement. There's a sanctuary coalition of Sonoma County, which is the one I mentioned earlier. And there are little subgroups among that. Some of the recent things we've done, we had a hunger strike. We go to the Board of Supervisors meetings. We also have a monthly vigil to remember people who have died in ICE detention. And a lot of the migrant communities have united for marches and events. And, within these groups, there are a lot of people of color, but there are a lot of white people too. But our feeling is we want the immigrants to take the lead on what we do because it's about what they want. So we did, we were trying to get an ordinance passed so that the sheriff couldn't give ICE information about immigrants because that was leading to people being detained unfairly. And unfortunately, we haven't achieved that yet, but what we have achieved is that there was an ordinance passed that any government employee other than the sheriff can't give information to ICE. And I believe also they're restricted from using any county locations for mobilizing when they're going to be doing raids and stuff like that. So, have I left anything out, Beth?
No, I think you've covered it. I think surrounding counties have passed a sanctuary ordinance, which is good, and so that's the difficulty in this county. Is that the sheriff, they're carving out the sheriff as an exception. Whereas some other counties, the sheriff's department has agreed not to.
Yeah.
And
so, it's a big point of contention. And so there's the Sanctuary Coalition of Sonoma County, And then there's also North Bay Rapid Response Network. And they provide a hotline that people can call if you suspect that ICE activity is taking place somewhere, or ICE comes to your home or the home of a friend. You can call the hotline and they coordinate with, they will like check with the police to see if there's any activity in the area, and they check a bunch of stuff. And what they do is, if they do think there's ICE activity going on, they will call out a group of people called legal observers. And there's a training that you can take for this. And basically that's really all we do. We just observe. We go out and we videotape. Uh, we try to get names and badge numbers, but we're not real aggressive about it. It's mostly witnessing and providing a presence that I think is effective in maintaining good behavior, although not always. We're also there to support the family if the person is detained. And we'll try to help connect them with resources and find out where their family member is being taken. So that's legal observers, and North Bay Rapid Response provides the training for that. There also is court accompaniment and family accompaniment. Court accompaniment is taking people to ICE check-ins and court dates. And family accompaniment is something that people can apply for through North Bay Rapid Response. So that generally what happens is, the husband or the breadwinner in the family is detained or deported. And so, mothers are left with their children to try to work, try to feed their families. And so they can apply for help through North Bay Rapid Response. And so what we do is we go and we talk to them and we see what they need. And it's anything from rides to the doctor, the dentist, childcare, getting a driver's license, finding housing. We recently did a baby registry for a person that we were accompanying, who's due in a matter of days, and that was really fun. I enjoyed shopping for baby clothes. I know nothing about babies. They have very cute clothes. And so, yeah, so we do that, and finding out. Yeah, I believe that's the extent of the accompaniment, but there's all kinds of things going on. We've also been doing, and this I believe is more of the sanctuary movement, barrio walks, where we'll go and walk through a neighborhood. And we have these little red and yellow cards in English and Spanish that describe an immigrant's rights, because frequently they don't know what their rights are. And unfortunately, the ICE agents are not that good at observing those rights, even when they're, like, look, the card says you can't do this. Yeah, so it's a heartbreaking situation. But we're trying to do what we can. And once again, I haven't talked slow enough, so oh well. I think why don't we break up in groups, like maybe 3? And if you want to talk about, what the idea of sanctuary or refuge means in your practice, how it's helped you, what you've learned from it, or as usual, anything else you want to talk about. Take it away.